lots of anxiety today. I feel like I'm racing the clock. I have to get the house ready before these tenants come in. And I have really bad allergies. So it's really slowing me down. So I'm actually going to the gym right now. I'm gonna try to get as much of this negative energy out, which it always works at the gym. And then I'm gonna go to the house, see exactly what needs finishing up, maybe film some of it for you guys so you see what this house that I've been talking about the whole time. And then I'm gonna go and go to Lowe's or Home Depot and get the stuff I need because the handyman isn't responding to my calls, which is fine. I'll save money and I'll just try to do it myself. And then it will be ready for the tenants and then I will make money. So excited. I'm so excited. I'll be able to make money and then I'll be able to pay off the rest of my debt, which is basically almost paid off, and start saving and investing in other stuff. By the way, I was talking to my friend today, and I have some friends that think I'm a lesbian, but I can't imagine ever wanting to touch another woman in that way. But then I told my friend about that dream that I had last night, which was basically that this friend that I have that's female, she's very feminine. I had a dream that she had a penis. Literally, she had a penis and she wasn't showing anybody. And in the dream, I was like, oh, you should not be worried about it. You should totally show it off. And so my friend is like, see, fits that speculation, which I don't even know what to think about it. I don't know, there's so many things about me that I think is masculine sounding, but it's really just survival. I really just want to survive and protect myself, and I just don't feel like a man can do that for me. All right, I put on some makeup. You can see the difference. So, it's not just about my relationship with women. Actually, it's not at all about my relationship with women. It's about my relationship with men. I think that has changed a lot. I think growing up I had a little bit of an unhealthy idea that I'm always gonna need a man, and it made me resent men too, because I always felt I saw the community that I grew up in, the men were completely in control. When I say completely in control, I'm not talking feminist patriarchy, whatever. I'm talking women literally don't know their social security numbers, don't know how to hi. That was a kid just waving at me. So the women don't even know how to do their taxes. So literally if you took the man out of their life, these women would die. It's that's what I'm talking about. So I always felt like that, oh, I'm never going to be able to survive without a man. And because men have certain needs and certain things that they want, I will always be subservient to that. It will never be my own choice. It will never be because I want it. It will always be because I have to, because I can't survive without a man. So, but now I'm getting to this point in my life, and I've been having conversations with my dad, with my uncle, with various men in my life, and hearing more about their finances, I'm realizing that I'm in a much better place than I thought. And my dad, he's older, he's getting older, and he's really not nearly building the kind of equity even that I, as a restaurant waitress, am building. You know what I mean? All the money that he's making is going into costs and expenses and stuff like that. He's really not building a lot of equity, and I see this glare. But so talking to all these men and realizing that I am in a much better place than they are, even as a restaurant waitress, as a 28-year-old. Like, I'm actually in a much better place than they are, and seeing that, like, actually I don't need men. And I think that is part of why I've been acting like so different lately. Like, I think that's a big part of this journey. I don't think that, like, this makes me like a lesbian. I think every woman on some level is a lesbian. Like, women are generally tend to be very sexually fluid. But sex is really just a reflection of our, like, innermost feelings just manifested into our bodies. And I think whenever there's, like, economic struggles like this, evolutionarily, like, women were able to survive without the men. You know what I mean? Like, the men would come in and out as, like, sperm donors, but the women didn't really need men to survive. So I think that's the kind of time that we're living in. It's kind of like war and stuff, where, like, the men are going and fighting and this and that, but they're not really, like, focused on building as much because it's a struggle time. So a lot of women are not, like, becoming lesbian. Okay, I don't know if all of that translated. I just left a whole video, but there was a sun glare. I'm on the way to the house now to get, actually, I'm on the way to the house, but also I'm gonna stop at Lowe's first and get, like, a bunch of supplies I need in order to fix some things at the house because the handyman isn't answering. So what I was thinking about while I was at the gym, I feel amazing, by the way, after the gym. I was thinking about, like, what I had just said about my dream, the dream that I had last night about my friend Taryn. You know, in the dream she had a penis, and I was like, you know, she was like, oh no, I can't tell anybody, and, like, and I was like, oh, why not? Like, it's great. A penis is great. There's a lot you could do with a penis. And she said, people won't like it if I tell them that I have a penis. And I was like, in the dream, I was like, well, I would like it. And I told my friend today, and my friend was like, yeah, this is literally what we were talking about. You're, you know, you might be into women and you just don't realize it. And I was thinking about it, and, you know, like, I've seen studies that show that, like, all women are lesbians a little bit on, like, some level. But men are generally not, like, partially gay. Like, they're either gay or they're not. You know, there isn't as many, like, bi men as there are bi women. But I think it's deeper than that. I think a lot of it is, like, sex is at the core, it's a very emotional thing. Like, you know, people think it's just like, oh, it's just your body, it's just biology. But it's biology as reflected by, you know, it's not just a thing that exists. It's like, a lot of it is the manifestation of your feelings, the things that you feel. The idea that, like, women can fulfill other women even if they're not gay. Men can do it too. You know, it's not rocket science. Women don't have more of the equipment to fulfill other women. It is really an emotional thing. Could objectively help another woman get satisfied without having a penis. And I think, like, for me, I always was like, oh, like, but I would want someone that has a penis. And so in that dream, I realized, what if a woman had a penis? I guess I'm like realizing certain things about myself, you know, because I grew up in such a traditional community where, like, men were the gatekeepers of any sort of, like, financial stability, safety, security. You know, like, they came from this country where if you're a woman walking outside by yourself, you're probably gonna get raped. And now it's like, I'm about to, you know, buy my own guns, and, like, you know, I'm able to protect myself. I'm able to survive on my own. soon I could probably have my own kids and raise them on my own and like not really have to send them off to some kind of boarding school or whatever, because like I would have all the things I need in order to raise them. I have all the tools I need. And so, you know, part of the attraction of like the man in the traditional sense is that we grew up thinking that like the reason why people get married, you know, the reason why you need a man is because you can't survive on your own. You know, it wasn't really about love and companionship. It was about practicality. It was about survival. You know, for my parents, it was about survival. For people in our community, so like the women, really, if you took the man out of their life, the women wouldn't even know how to do a tax return, fill a tax return. In those communities, and I think a lot of it is like the way I grew up, is like the way that I relate to men is like I associate with them because I need them. But that's not healthy, because like men are human beings. They're not just tools. And, you know, the same way women are human beings, we're not just, you know, sex objects. And I think because I've been so focused on survival, and I've had to be so focused on survival because I didn't really have the tools. And like now I feel like I do. I have all the tools. And, you know, I mean, it's going to take a while to like internalize it and really believe it, that I have the tools. But I'm like, I think I'm in this phase right now where I'm like, okay, well, I guess I don't need men. The only thing I need is a penis. But even that, anyway, it's really trippy. It's just a lot of mixed up thoughts that will take a while to organize, but this is not like me admitting that I'm a lesbian. Okay, it is such a nice neighborhood here. I'll show you what it looks like. Here we are. This is Texas. It's North Dallas. I don't know, it's not spectacular. It's just a nice neighborhood and houses are nice. There's someone's fence. It's like a glass fence. You know, stuff like that. That's cool. You know, I'm realizing like I put so many people on the pedestal when I was a kid. You know, when you're a kid, everybody looks so big and mighty and like so successful. And you just want to be like them. And then you grow up and you're like, whoa, I already know how to do all these things. I could do it. I don't need to be like them. And I'm almost 30. Like in 2 years I'll be 30. And I'm like coming to this realization that I could do it. All these people that I put on pedestal, like, they were really just trying to figure it out. Like, these rich, you know, Persian Jews that we grew up with, you know, and it was all men, not a single woman. The women were completely financially illiterate, I'm telling you. And even when I went back home, and when I went back to LA, and I was telling some of my family friends that I bought a house, the first house, they were like, wow, you're a man. Because they just couldn't understand the idea that a woman would like be able to buy a house. Like, what? That's the community. Like, the women are just completely financially illiterate, which sounds nice, like, oh, they don't have to worry about money. But then there's the whole, it's just a very codependent dynamic. It tends to be extremely unhealthy. You know, it's very hard for people to get a divorce because each of them, like, the women are almost exclusively taking care of the children and the family and the household. The men are like almost exclusively taking care of the finances. And so they tend to leverage that against each other a lot in unhealthy marriages. And there's very few, if any, marriages that I've ever seen in that community where the couple like genuinely gets along and they're like genuinely respectful and happy of each other. Like it doesn't happen because of that codependent dynamic that I told you about, which Americans tend to fetishize, but you should be really happy that you don't have that in America. Like, it's not something to strive for. What you want to strive for is respect and not resentment. Like, I have a lot of resentment about men that I know is not healthy. Like, I know that the way I think about men, like, they think I need them. Well, I don't need them. All I need is their penis, and I don't even need that. It's like the way that's a dialogue that goes through my mind constantly. And I know that that's coming from an unhealthy place, because most men aren't walking around thinking, I'm trying to control Pardis. They're not thinking that. They're just thinking they're not thinking anything. They're just like, oh, I'm just surviving, you know? Like, or they're thinking nice things about me. Like, you know, like they're not trying to control me, but like, because I have this like preconceived idea in my mind, like, anyway, so that really comes into my relationships too. Like that's come into like pretty much every single relationship that I had, and like looking back, it's clear as day. So what I'm trying to say is, like, in my mind, the best way to come in any relationship obviously is from a positive place and from a place of like security, where like you don't need women, you don't need men, but like so there isn't that feeling of codependency. But if you do talk to them or associate with them or, you know, want to be with them, like it's like, you know, it's natural. Like you want to, you don't need to, and so it doesn't feel like limiting. If that makes sense.